And now for another episode of Confessions of an Online Psychic. With your host, novelist, filmmaker, and authentic psychic, Dave Thompson.
Hey everybody, I'm Dave, filmmaker, photographer, and authentic psychic. Now, last week I touched upon a little bit about the not-so-good psychics, the ones who charge really, really cheap and they're geared just to, try to scam you out of more money. And that's something that is a real pain in my side. But as a medium myself, as a psychic medium, I typically seem to have a target on my back. People tend to be more interested in trying to debunk what it is I'm doing or explain what it is I'm doing than paying attention to the message that's being sent across from a loved one. People like James Randi, really, $1 million if you can prove you're psychic. But to most parts, being a psychic is not something you can sit down in a lab and test. There has been some people that have done some testing with this. Dr. Dean Radin is one of them. And I'll go into that here in a minute. But I really want to talk about the scam artists. Some of them, well, they give us all a bad rap, like Miss Cleo, or the goof in this newspaper headline. And that little shop around the corner, one day I went by there, and there was a sign on the thing that said, closed today due to unforeseen circumstances. And people go, well, if you're a psychic, how come there are unforeseen circumstances? Well, to be quite honest, there are certain things a psychic is just not able to see. I'm going to go over this in another episode regarding spirit guides. Sometimes spirit guides will step in and say, look, there's just no way, you're going to be able to get that information, pass it along to your client because they have to learn something. And because they have to learn something, you can't, pass that along. But when it comes to, the scam artists, it is real hard to tell because there will be somebody that you say, oh, well, this person, I'm not going to name names, but they are a very, very famous psychic. They are really a scam because they may have some ability. They may have, during a reading, they may be able to nail something really well. But here's the problem. Not all the time. In fact, when that person was on a television chat show, I saw right through her. She was doing what's called a cold reading because, she had made a name for herself. She's written a bunch of books, and she's a sham. She's a fraud. Even her readings are a fraud. And here's the thing. She charges $850 for her or one of her associates to give a reading. That's a lot of money. One of the things, though, I like to see when it comes to what could be a scam artist is somebody just tries to overdo it. I mean, they're charging, they offer all these services that a lot of which you can do on your own. And then they're often overly theatrical. They may be playing a part, but they're playing definitely to the person who's going to get sucked into this. And you shouldn't be a person that gets sucked into this. But often they'll come at you with what we call an argument from authority. That in other words, were trained by a certain person or they had done all this other stuff. Therefore, they are the authority. And therefore, whatever bullshit they channel, you're going to have to believe it. I kind of flash upon that every time somebody says, "Oh, Dave, go to church," or "Go do this, go do that," and the person up there is speaking for a deity and they don't understand that I speak to deities, they speak to me, and I'm getting a different message. So the guy up there in the robes, he's full of shit. I want to tell you about somebody who was really pretty much a scam artist, and they were so much of a scam artist, I think they believed themselves that they were a scam artists, but they were being played. It's a woman that I knew back in Austin, about 2002, 2003. Actually, my father knew her first. He did a job for her, and he goes, Dave, you need to go talk to this lady. She's a psychic, blah, blah, blah. And I said, all right. So she arranged for me to go over there. And oh my God, she claimed to be channeling a Swami or something like that from India. And I did a little research, and this guy's own website said anybody who claimed to be speaking for him is not speaking the truth. And as I did a reading. She had me come over to a reading. She does this stuff to try to, she, like a lot of the scam people, that she goes, oh, well, we know why things are happening to you the way they are, because there is a curse on you. This guy has put a curse on you. I'm going, it's not unusual to hear that. And the person I had the problem with at the time, yeah, that's somebody who would put a curse on me. But she was not the one to break it. Oh, well, give me a chance. I'm channeling so and so, and they could, they can break the curse. So she comes around behind me. She starts mumbling, and she puts her hand on top of my head. Now, right now, I've got my hand on top of my head, and it's getting warm. It's getting hot. If you do this yourself, it's going to get hot. If you do put your hand on the top of, say a dog, a cat, a kid, or whatever, if you're really full of energy and you're healing energy and stuff like that, your hand will get hot, their head will get hot. Her hand got cold. The top of my head felt like she had put an ice pack on my head. And I remarked about how unusual that was. Of course, at that time, she didn't really know how powerful I was. Hell, I didn't know how powerful I was. And what it was is she was being controlled by a being who was pretending to be this other Swami, who was playing to her weaknesses, and she was using that from the point of authority. Hey, I'm the big wahoo, and so you have to do what I tell you to do. He's telling me that you have to X, Y, Z. Shit, I mean, she told me that I had to give up everything I was doing. I had to sell everything I owned. I had to live on the street for a year. Well, I've got a daughter. I can't do that. Oh, well, your daughter has to go to her mother. Well, if you're a true psychic, you can tell that her mother is so screwed up, she wouldn't be able to take care of herself, much less a kid. No, this woman just kept this up. And so I said, no more. I'm done with this. So she said, well, because, you're not doing what he's telling you to do, he's going to strike your father down with cancer, and he's going to die, and it's going to be your fault. That's the other key to know that you're dealing with a scam artist, is when somebody is telling you this, and they're coming from authority, their own made-up authority, and you're against this. They're going to be like, oh shit, well, I got to scare you. Well, if she was truly channeling this being, he wouldn't be saying that shit. If she was truly channeling a higher being, she wouldn't have this shit to say. She would, it's all preconceived notions on her part. So it took a while to get away from that. She also, through this being, he put in what we call hooks or tracers, which took me a while to clear out energetically. Fortunately, I had a couple of friends who were, like myself, quite talented psychically, and we were all able to finally figure out a way to get all those cords cut. And no, this wasn't the type of thing where you just, burn sage. Sage just really just pisses off these beings. And, a lot of this is what we call the cult leader effect. This type of person, there's some politicians the same way. They get their followers to follow them no matter what the fuck. And it's a cult. It's a cult. And, cult doesn't end nicely. And it all comes from the point of view of ego tripping. And let me tell you something. I live in an area, and I'm in a business where the ego just reigns supreme, and that's the film industry. Oh, there was this one guy who wanted to produce a script that I wrote. Okay, so we're meeting, and he won't shut up. And I'm trying to tell him that, he's wrong on what I wanted to create. He's wrong on, what sort of, what I wanted to have happen in this movie. Well, he wouldn't listen. His ego was in the way. And then he says, well, no, I want you just to be the writer. I will direct and produce this. I said, you don't even know what it's about. He says, well, yeah, but I'm the only one who can direct it. I said, no, you're not. I'm directing it. I wrote it for me to direct. It has all the tropes and the homages to Hammer Horror that I wanted to put in there, and it will not be my script that you will direct. And, and he's like going on and on and on, and I go, fine, have you ever had a movie that was released? He ignored that question, and I said, look, I'm a good director. I can direct this because the last thing I directed premiered in Europe at Cannes. You can't be a piece of shit, walk off the street type of director to have that happen. But this happens all the time. And some psychics get this. Like the woman I was telling you about that's on TV or was on TV and has all these books. They get this ego power trip going. But that's just the way psychics are. We got a target on our back. It doesn't help because of the bad rap we get. Now, there are some people who are really looking into the psychic phenomena. I mentioned Dr. Dean Radin is one of them. He's with the Noetic Institute. He does research psychic phenomena and magic now. I'd suggest you check out his books. Do a Google search, Dean Radin, Noetic Institute. Lisa is a friend of his on Facebook. And there is a documentary. It's currently on YouTube. It's a low resolution. It's old TV. It's called Life After Life. Google that. It'll show up. Now, before I sign off on this, and I've gone about the time I want to go, I want you to comment below on any topics you want me to cover which involves psychic ability. I'm going to cover, a future episode, I'm going to cover guides. And another episode, I'm going to touch on, the people around you that you're a psychic. It's very interesting to raise a kid who is also psychic, but, knowing that that kid really can't lie to you, and yet they try anyway. It's so interesting. It's like, looking at my daughter, yeah, you're telling me this story. I know it's bullshit because I can see right through it. It's not because I'm your father, it's because I'm psychic. Let's see what else. Yeah, comment below on any topics you want to see me cover up. And so today is a day of big changes with my website for psychic stuff. At midnight tonight, my rates are going to go up by 50%. I'm going up from 150 to 225 per reading. So if you book before midnight tonight, you will save $75, and you don't have to do the reading in a hurry. You can book it out a couple of weeks. I know when I get ready to move, we'll be moving next month. Moving all my scheduling over to a different scheduling software, and anything that's booked that's on my current calendar program will get moved over. So you still have a few hours to jump on one of my links and get yourself a reading if you want it. I'm also going to be starting out my photography business for commercial and theatrical headshots. God damn, I mean, that's something that's real easy for me to do is headshots. My God, I've been taking headshot stuff since I was, 15, 16 years old. But that's it. I've rambled off quite a while for now. So you guys have a pleasant rest of the day. It's Sunday, March 31st, 2019. My offer for my website, what I charge, $150, is only good until midnight tonight. Yeah, get in there and book. I take PayPal, which means all forms of payment. And if you want to say use Square, my other payment processor, just let me know in a PM, and I will give you the link for that. That's it. That's it for today's episode of
Confessions of an Online Psychic.
Very cool voice. I think I said this last week, maybe, that I found this guy on Fiverr. It's really quick, too. It only took it a couple of days to get to me. Okay, that's it. You guys have a really great rest of your day. Signing off for now. Bye.